Just as the clock struck 3 a.m., a faint yet persistent knocking echoed through the dimly lit corridors of Madame Simone's eerie parlor. With a lit candle casting ghostly shadows against the elaborate walls, she shuffled toward the door, her curiosity piqued by the unexpected visitor. "A customer, so late?" she murmured to herself, the flickering light playing tricks in the dark. As she approached, the soft, nervous voice of a young woman filtered through the door. "Hello, are you open? I need to use a phone to call an Uber. I saw the open sign light on." Madame Simone paused, a hint of concern threading through her normally calm personality. Peering through the peephole, she saw Ashley standing outside, her body wrapped tightly in a coat that barely shielded her from the chilly night air. Her eyes, wide and alert, hinted at a night filled with unspeakable terrors. With a soft sigh, Madame Simone unlocked the door, her face shifting into a welcoming, albeit cautious, smile. "My dear, come in, it's far too cold for tales to be told on the doorstep." As Ashley stepped into the warm, candlelit foyer, her relief was palpable. The shadows seemed to retreat with her entrance, as if fearing the light she brought with her. Madame Simone led her to a plush chair near the hearth in the parlor, her motherly instincts taking over. "Warm yourself, dear. Tell me what frights have chased you to my door at this witching hour," she urged, her voice a soothing balm to Ashley's frayed nerves. As Ashley recounted the night's harrowing events, Madame Simone listened intently, her eyes reflecting both the flicker of the candle and her heartfelt empathy. On a cold, eerie Friday night in the silence of the midnight hour, Ashley, a young, easygoing waitress with pink highlights in her hair, locked up the Lucky Stars Cafe where she worked. Her shift had run long into the night, and the streets of the city were deserted as she hurried to the Metro Red Line station. The flickering lights of the station cast long, haunting shadows, and the echo of her footsteps seemed unnaturally loud in the emptiness. As Ashley stepped onto the platform, a chill ran down her spine. The digital clock above blinked 12:03 a.m. She had just made it in time for the last train to downtown LA. The platform was empty except for a figure cloaked in shadows at the far end. Slowly, unease knotted her stomach, but she tried to dismiss it as just late-night jitters. Soon the train pulled in with a screech, its doors sliding open to a vacant, ghostly interior. Ashley stepped inside, taking a seat near the door. As the train jolted into motion, the figure from the platform entered her car. He was tall, his face obscured by a dark hood, and his presence filled the space with a menacing air. Ashley's heart raced as the figure approached, each step echoing ominously. When he sat directly across from her, she could see his eyes, piercing and unnaturally dark. Fear gripped her, and she realized she had to escape before reaching her stop. As the train slowed between stations, Ashley made her decision. With a burst of adrenaline, she sprang up, dashed to the door, and pulled the emergency lever. The train screeched to a halt, doors swinging open onto a dimly lit tunnel. Ignoring the warning signs posted of danger, Ashley leaped out, her breaths coming in sharp gasps as she sprinted along the tracks, trying not to touch the live wire. The sound of the ghostly figure's footsteps echoed behind her, growing fainter as she ran towards the distant light of the next station. She didn't dare look back, knowing that her survival depended on this desperate escape into the night. Ashley's lungs burned with exertion as she reached the next platform, her heart pounding in her ears. The dim lights flickered above, casting an otherworldly glow on the deserted station. Her relief at escaping the dark tunnel was short-lived when she saw the metal gates to the stairs firmly locked. Panic surged within her as she rattled the gates desperately, but they wouldn't budge, an unyielding barrier to her freedom. Behind her, the ominous clatter of footsteps grew louder. Ashley turned to see the hooded figure emerging from the shadows of the tunnel, his slow, deliberate steps echoing on the concrete. His face, partially illuminated now, revealed nothing but two dark, soulless black eyes fixated on her. Ashley backed away, her mind racing for a solution. The air vibrated with the distant rumble of another train approaching. A desperate plan formed in Ashley's mind as she glanced towards the oncoming lights, bright and fast. The figure advanced, closing the gap between them with a haunting inevitability. Just as he reached her, Ashley summoned every ounce of strength and fear-induced adrenaline. She feigned to the left, then spun swiftly, delivering a powerful kick to the figure's face. The impact sent him staggering backward, surprise and anger flashing in his soulless eyes for a fleeting second before he lost his balance. As the train roared onto the platform, Ashley pushed the figure with all her might. He fell backwards onto the tracks just as the train thundered through the station. The screech of metal on metal was deafening, and Ashley turned away, unable to watch. The train did not stop, its relentless journey into the night this nightmare for good. Shaking and sobbing, Ashley sank to the cold platform floor as the last echoes of the train faded into silence. She was alone again, the night reclaiming its stillness. Eventually she stood, her body trembling, and approached the gates. Miraculously, the vibrations from the passing train had dislodged the lock slightly. With a heave, she pushed them open and stumbled out into the night, a survivor forever changed by her midnight escape. Once the story was told, she handed Ashley the phone with a gentle nod. "Let's get you home, safe and sound," she said, her tone resolute. As Ashley dialed for an Uber, the warmth of the fire and the safety of the room felt like a distant yet comforting promise of sunrise.